Have you ever misplaced or lost something and spent an inordinate amount of time scurrying around trying to find what it was that you lost? Well, truth be told, I found myself many times, perhaps because I travel so much, scurrying around for something I think I've misplaced or lost. And I have to say that I never find anything by going to a zipper, opening up a pocket, seeing that something clearly is not there, and going back and checking again that it's clearly not there. But as humans, I think it's amazing how we keep going back to the same things when we have checked them. We doubt ourselves and we go and try to find something again. This Lessons Learned comes from Sister Agnes Leona in 7th and 8th grade, and it's about a noun and a verb. Think. I have found that I've always been able to find lost objects by not scurrying, not moving, not doing, but stopping, replaying everything in my mind of where something could possibly be, starting, of course, to where I've last held the object, and then finding an object in my head, not by spending time running around a room or hallway or airport corridor, for example. So, Sister Agnes, years ago, when I would have issues with algebra, told me, Lawrence, and the whole class, think. You'll never find an answer by doing. You find an answer by stopping and listening. And I learned then that listen is the same word as the word silent, with letters re-scrambled or reviewed. We have 2 ears and only 1 tongue, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. And when we turn off our tongue and our need to speak, we actually turn on our internal dialogue. And our internal dialogue is about listening, sort of the way Yuri defines meditation as not talking to God all the time and asking, but quiet enough to listen to what she says back, as one possible definition of what meditation could be. I learned when I was at the algebra board and the class snickering, bullying behind me, making comments because I had X's and Y's and I didn't remember 6x plus 3y equals 32. Do I start to the left of the equals, the right of the equals? How do I start with an X or a Y? It was like dyslexia alphabet soup, right? And I'd say, sister, do I start on this? Can somebody help me? And I'd look to the front row and they all want you to fail. So Sister Agnes wouldn't give me an answer. She'd say, Lawrence, think. And when I would pause and get past the sweat and past the nervousness, I'd have to replay what Sister had taught us in class. And that was, always start with this letter, always start with this side of the equal sign. Clearly, I don't even remember those specifics. But by thinking, I came to the solution. And years later, I went to an island called Mykonos and sat at a cafe, and I met this guy, and his name was George Blastidas. What do you do? He said, I think. And I thought, that's interesting. Philosophia, the love of knowledge or the love of just thinking. Flash forward today to Greek's economy, and I wonder, how's that working for you? Just thinking. But he said, as Americans, you're always doing. What did you do today? And you answer with items of movement. How wonderful if you thought it meritorious enough to say, I thought. How cool is that? Sort of, I meditated, we're sort of getting ability to say that in Western society. What did you do today? Well, I meditated and then I ran to train at the gym, for example. But how cool to say, well, I did a lot of thinking, and have no one question that because of its own validity. That's pretty cool. So this Lessons Learned is all about taking the time not to do and not to have to validate, but just to think. The power of silence to listen, silent and listen. And I conclude by just asking, in which ways of your life could you add a little more thought or a little more thinking? The big buzzwords these days are your heart voice and your head voice. Are you working through your heart voice? Is your decision through your heart voice? Are you working through your head voice? Is your decision through your head voice? Do you know what's right? Do you feel what's right? And I like to say that I use my spirit voice. And that's a combination of both. Head and heart meet at our mouth and our nose, right? Brain and heart meet here. And spirit means to be alive, to be aerobic, to be in the presence of spiritos, breathing prana. And that's why we say those are ghosts. They're returned people, right? As spirits, because it means to be in the presence of life and oxygen. They're not dead, they come back to us. It means to be alive. And how to celebrate our humanity is to be able to say, I'm thinking. I use my head voice, I use my heart voice, and the places where they converge to make decisions, just to think, could be my spirit voice. So I just propose that as a new way to think of things, with love in my heart and a firm conviction. To spread wellness without walls, I'm Lawrence, expressing my gratitude to you for allowing me to express my lessons learned thus far. And I conclude this Lessons Learned by sharing with you what I've learned from Sister Agnes, still alive as of recording this today. Sister Agnes Leona, who said, Lawrence, just think. Think about everything. Now, that goes a whole other post about, do I overthink? But you have to do things as well when you're done thinking, or else analysis is paralysis. In which ways could you, my friend, add a little more thought into your ADLs or activities of daily life?